mic'd? Are you all ready to go? You're ready to go? Okay. Greetings. Glad you all came. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend the evening with us. My name is Elisa Kim. I am the school board. You what? Oh, you can't hear me in the back? Okay. Is this better? Oh, terrific. My name is Elisa Kim, and I'm the school board representative for District 5, which includes Pearl Cohn. I'm thrilled to be here tonight to hear from you all and speak with my colleagues here. I am going to start us off with some housekeeping items so you know what to expect before turning it over to Dr. Gentry and Dr. Joseph. But first of all, I do want to recognize and thank the band and our cheerleaders for welcoming us this evening. And I hope they're here to hear. It was incredible to walk in and see them all performing. So yes, so thank you. And any students, if any Pearl Cohn students are here, I'd love for you to stand up. Oh, we've got a couple right here. Excellent, okay. Thank you. All right, I just want to take a minute, too, to recognize some folks who are in attendance tonight, including my fellow board member, Thais Hunter.
Nerd of our board. She's been to every listen and learn across the city.
Dedication right there. And then also Kathy Buggs from Congressman Cooper's office. Herschel Warren from the mayor's office. And then, of course, our outstanding MNPS principals. Any principals in the audience? Yeah, we've got a few in the back. And then the backbone of the whole system are teachers. So if you're a teacher in MNPS, we'd love for you to stand. Okay, so we have a full house, a lot of great guests, and we're excited to hear from you. So I'm going to go through some of the housekeeping items so you know what to expect. So first of all, we have translation services for anyone who might need them, including headsets out there. Our translator.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Noé Escalante Ramos, soy el intérprete de español. Si alguien necesita nuestros servicios, por favor salga afuera, tenemos auriculares y con gusto vamos a proveer nuestro servicio. Gracias.
Thank you.
I taught him that. Good job.
All right, so the format is very simple. We want to spend the whole hour hearing from you, and so we have two staff members with Robert Tremita in the back, holding microphones. So if you have a question that you would like to pose to Dr. Joseph, just raise your hand and one of those two will find you. If you don't feel so comfortable talking to the microphone, that's okay. I hope that you got a comment card when you were walking in. You can also put your comment or question on a card, hold that up, and they'll also chase you down. And they've got cards that they're waving right now if you didn't get one. We're gonna squeeze in as much as we possibly can in an hour, so if you could just keep your question or your comment to under a minute, that will help us facilitate that. Okay. All being said, it is just an hour. We have a very full house. So you saw the gallery walk outside. There are boards where specific questions are posed, and we encourage you to make your comments, to use the Post-its out there so that we hear directly from you and what's on your mind. There's also sort of an open mic, if you will, on a board. So whatever is not already captured on the boards, you should go ahead, also put on a Post-it on the gallery walk. That is about it. I am going to turn the floor over then to Dr. Gentry, who is going to intro our Director of Schools, Dr. Joseph.
Yeah, not yet. So I don't know how many of you have seen the YouTube video that was produced here at Pearl Cohn. And we have the star of that video, and it ain't him. I know him. It ain't him. It ain't him. The star of that video, I believe the songwriter here, gentleman who has really embraced our program here, sitting in the back, although I asked him to come to the front. So in the back we have Mr. Cedric Caldwell, who works with the students on that record label. He knows a little bit about music and a little bit about recording, and so if you don't know who he is, Google him. Everybody's Googleable, but I had to break down and Google him. We have Bramante Carpenter, who wrote the song. And the star of that video, Miss Shandia Pride, please stand, who sang her heart out, welcoming Dr. Joseph to the district. And so, we did a lot, Shandia. We spent a lot of money getting him here. We spent a lot of money on receptions, welcoming him here, and all he talks about is this video. So, who knew? I could have saved a lot of money, but thank you all so much. Your talent is undeniable, obviously, as songwriters and singers and all the other things that are taking place here at Cohn in our recording studio, Relentless Records, and we could not be more proud of you. So we have posted it and reposted it. We have boosted it. We paid $100 to boost it on Facebook. So hopefully if you have not had a chance to see it, look it up. It is amazing, and it is one of those flagship moments that reminds us of why we're here, and reminds us of what we're capable of, and reminds us of the potential that exists in each and every last one of our students. So I thank both of you for that opportunity for us to all sit back and reflect on why we do the things that we do. And thank you very much. Another round, please. At some point in time, when you've been interviewed 1,000 times and you've been on NPR and on the cover of the newspaper, the introductions can get a little stale. But I will tell you that this board has not looked back since this hiring and since the signing of that contract. And the contract was signed on Friday the 13th. And everybody say, this is Harold Love, State Representative, District 58. You don't remember your name on the phone? Sure. Okay, just check. And contract signed on Friday the 13th. I got my first text message from Dr. Joseph on Saturday the 14th at 5:48 in the morning. He thought he was going to catch me sleeping, but don't work that way.
She responded in like 10 seconds.
That's right. Up working it out. So, and this is the kind of dedication that he has demonstrated since he's been here. And if you have been in his presence as a teacher or employee on any level, you know by now that's the kind of dedication he is expecting from each and every last one of us as we stand here and sit here and teach here and work here in service to our students. So again, as often as I possibly can, I like to say thank you. And I appreciate all that you have done so far, and I look forward to the great things that you're going to continue to do in this district on behalf of our students, our teachers, our building level leaders, our support staff, everyone. Everyone matters. And I think that just hearing him over the next hour will affirm that everyone matters. And we do have to begin to sweat the small stuff in order to make the kind of difference we're looking for here in this district. So with that, we will start with, if you have a question, please raise your hand. And then I'll give you an opportunity before we start responding to introduce your staff that's present.
Well, good evening, everybody.
Now, what an exciting time to be in Nashville. We have some of the most talented students in America here in this school. And I think Shandia and Bramante are excellent examples of what we know in this school district if you have children here, and it's that there's excellence abound. We've just got to get that message out there. So can we give our students a round of applause? It's been beyond humbling. Just going from school to school and meeting with first our board. I mean, we have a very dynamic and extremely passionate Board of Education that has been, committed and fighting the good fight, right? And then, they're asking the question, so what does it take to make sure that every neighborhood has an extraordinary school and has talent abound? And what does it take for us to break through, those things that have kept children, particularly, all children, but especially, children of color, children whom only come from humble beginnings, children who speak different languages. What does it take to ensure that they have the inalienable right of an extraordinary educational program in every school? So to Dr. Gentry and to Ms. Kim, I thank you all for your leadership. Again, I speak with our board members daily, all the time, about our issues that are faced here, both the opportunities and the challenges. And one of the very first charges from that 5:45 text message back with Dr. Gentry is centered around, so what are we going to do to get the community actively in the discussion? That this can't be another scenario where somebody comes from the outside trying to be a savior, because we know that doesn't exist. But what is it going to take to get a ground roots effort and really make team a reality? And team is not just the people that who work for us, but the team of people whom we serve, and the team of students who receive whatever it is that we give. And that call, my team answered the call. One of the very first things we talked about was the fact that we need to have a school system that looks like the diversity of our school system. We can't, if we're going to have excellence, excellence means that children can look up and see people that look like them in roles doing great work, and not just looking up and seeing people that look like them, but looking up and seeing people who have accomplished much and understand to whom much is given, much is expected. And in that vein, when they looked up, they always saw Chris Henson at the helm. Chris was our chief financial officer, and on 2 different occasions he served as interim superintendent to the school district. His passion and his commitment are unparalleled, and he has demonstrated excellence not only in the state of Tennessee, the state of Tennessee, but in Nashville. He is nationally known for his fiduciary responsibility, making sure every dollar counts. So we're extremely fortunate to have him stay on the team as our chief operating officer in charge of all of operations. So those pay raises and things that we got, that wasn't me. I just took credit. Chris did it. So Chris, thank you for your efforts. In addition, we need to really look at, what are we doing to improve academic achievement in this district? There's never been a district in America that has remediated itself into excellence. If we're going to really transform the district, we've got to have real high expectations for all kids in all schools, in all classrooms. And we have to challenge the notion of, what is gifted? Because we believe that every child has gifts within them. It's just a matter of, do they have the right conditions for those gifts to be seen and maximized? And Dr. Monique Felder has been thinking about that work for a very long time. She's been an elementary teacher. She's been a an elementary school principal, an award-winning principal. She has been in charge of gifted and talented education for one of the largest school districts in the country, and she was my right and left hand in Prince George's County as the executive director for teaching and learning. So in her role as chief academic officer here, she's really going to be pushing the envelope on what does it take to ensure that we have rigorous opportunities for all kids, and as we raise expectations, we also raise supports to make sure students can achieve those high expectations. So Dr. Felder, we thank you for your work. We also have with us Dr. Seto Narcisse. Dr. Narcisse actually began his teaching career here at Antioch High School. He went to Vanderbilt University, then went off to the University of Pittsburgh to get his doctorate. He was a principal in Pittsburgh, a principal in Boston. He came over to Montgomery County, supervised 34 schools, and I met up with him once again in Prince George's County as he supervised elementary, middle, and high schools there. And we recognize we've got extraordinary principals, and I want to acknowledge the principal here at Cohn, who has been here for 5 years. Leadership matters. Any school is on the brink of chaos with the wrong leadership, and you have the right leadership here, and Dr. Narcisse's charge is to ensure that every school has strong leadership, and we're supporting not only principals but assistant principals and teams. So Dr. Narcisse, we thank you for joining us. When I was speaking with the principal here, we were talking a little bit about, the enrollment here. And she shared that, we're about 800 or so, and this is a high school that has much more capacity. And we talked about the fact that enrollment has declined as, schools have been given these titles from the state and elsewhere, priority school and this and that and that and this. You can have a priority school that is where there is lots of excellence within it. Just for some reason, I'm a Redskins fan, and for a long for a very long time, y'all feel me when I say, because y'all got the Titans, so y'all know. What those years, you might have, you might have talent, but sometimes you just can't figure out how to just win. And that's, but if the Redskins taught us anything last year, when we put the ball in Captain Kirk's hands, it went from not being able to make the playoffs at all to winning a championship, the divisional championship. Now it was a bad division, but we won. Look, we're gonna take it, because that just shows progress. And as we go into this year, we're very optimistic because when you got leadership and you got people who are committed, it's just a matter of time before things turn around. And I think that's the same scenario we have when we look at our priority schools. But to start, we need the right leadership, and we believe we have that in Mr. Mo Carrasco. Mr. Carrasco comes to us from Maryland, where he was a middle school principal, and he turned around a very diverse, underperforming middle school. He went on to take a high school that was one of the best high schools in America, Richard Montgomery, and made it better. And he made it better by really looking at, the school kind of had high scores because, the rich folks and the privileged children did exceptionally well in this IB program they had there. But students who didn't have a lot of money and students who came from different backgrounds weren't even invited to the dance. And Mr. Carrasco, changed that paradigm by giving kids an invitation, opportunities, and access. And lo and behold, when they were given the invitation, opportunity, and access with supports, they did well, and the entire school got better. So we thought about, and as a result of his efforts there, he was also a Maryland High School State Principal of the Year. So when we look at the work that has to be done in our priority schools, we couldn't get Captain Kirk. He's already under contract, but Mo's gonna help lead us to a divisional championship. So thank you, Mo. And we have had a very interesting conversation in Tennessee about charter school or non-charter school, choice options. And the fact is, I think the challenge centers more around the fact that we've got limited resources, and people are just very mindful when we have limited resources. How do we not have a scenario where we feel like there are winners and losers? And as we create more opportunity and access, how do we make sure people don't feel like things are being taken away from them? And it's a real conversation that we need to have. But I think the conversation should be focused on, do we have excellence in all schools? And if we don't have excellence, what does it take to make sure that excellence there? I could care less whether, kids are educated in a charter school or in a public school. We just want excellence abound, and we want multiple opportunities for families. The conversation about choice should be really centered around, what are my child's interests, and are there programs that match their interests that can expand and broaden them and help them maximize their potential? And Mr. Dennis Queen understands that that's where we need to go as we think about this choice. For about 12 years, he was a middle school and high school principal, and he got results in both areas. He went on to Milwaukee, and Milwaukee has dealt with issues of choice longer than any other place in the country. And he supervised 34 schools there, and then he was in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg School District. And anyhow, Charlotte is one of the models for innovation, and they have been working with how do you have a strong portfolio of schools within the district. So as we needed an executive officer for charters, Dennis is the right man for the job, but he's going to help us think through this work that we need to do. So Mr. Queen, thank you for being here. And also, we are one of the largest, most diverse school districts in America. And, it's interesting, I've been reading this book, The Making of the Uncommon Metropolis. And in that book, it talks about the fact that Metro Nashville Public Schools was one of the most statistically desegregated school systems in America. But you all lived it here. I mean, as I'm learning about the city, and I know this Route 40 here kind of changed things and divided communities. And it just didn't happen here. It's happened all across the country, where we have become more segregated and isolated than ever before. And though we have kids sitting in the same buildings, it doesn't necessarily mean they're learning from one another. It doesn't necessarily mean that the teachers understand the kids' cultures and are adapting. There's major work to be done when you have a highly diverse school district. And you really need someone who's thinking about every aspect of the diversity conversation. And we have a superstar helping us think that through, and Dr. Maritza Gonzalez. Dr. Gonzalez? Dr. Gonzalez had a similar position here in Prince George's County, and we need her in every facet of our work, ensuring that no family or no child is invisible as we think about our work, that we're constantly thinking about the cultural implications of decisions that are made, and ultimately, how do we make sure we get families and we get schools what they need. So we've pulled together a very strong team. I mean, I'd put the Metro Nashville Public Schools leadership team up against any in the country, pound for pound, as we think about what has to be done. And we've just augmented a very strong team that already existed within the school district. But what we need to know to move forward is, what's working, what's not working, what are the things that you love about this district, and what are the things that have just downright frustrated you. Because at the end of this year, the board and I are working collaboratively to come up with a plan of action. And we want to make sure that that plan that we put together is based upon the real voices of our community. And that's what we're here for, to listen to you. I got out today, and I've been feeling the love, and love is in the house. I got a call today, and I saw Harold Love. Love is in the house. I said, my brother. I love it. But we need the love. We need the love, and the love has to be in the house. If we've got any hope of making this what we know the Metro Nashville Public Schools should be, and that's the best opportunity for equity and access in America. So I'm not going to talk anymore because I really want to hear what's on your mind. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our staff, and they will respond. So if you have a question, just raise your hand. They're gonna stop moving the microphone away after about a minute. Don't be mad at them. They were instructed to do so. They're gonna do it slowly because it's gonna give you time to just finish your thought before it gets back. So we thank you for that.
We'll tap you on the back as well. Okay, Dr. Joseph, we have a card, a question on the question card, and it says, do you have a plan for recruiting and retaining black males in the teaching profession?
No, I don't have a plan, but one of the things one of the things I know we need is a plan, and I have a transition team. And that transition team has a talent development team with some experts in the field, including Ms. Kim, who has done an extraordinary job. One of the things that the organization in which she has worked for has done an extraordinary job of, better than most districts and most for-profit nonprofits in America, is recruiting high-quality talent. And Ms. Kim, as well as a number of other people, are coming together to devise a plan for us. But it is something that we know we have to think about and do plan on having a plan for.
I'm going to start with a question from the question card as well. It says, most high-performing school systems have heavy support from the business community. How will you accomplish gaining support from the Nashville business community?
Yeah, we're very fortunate, actually. I think we have one of the most generous business communities in the country, and they have continuously communicated since I've been here that they're willing to help. They want to see a plan, and most businesses, rightfully so, want to know that there's going to be a return on investment as we do that. But I've worked with the chamber. We have a number of foundations, the Nashville Public Education Foundation and Pencil and the Alignment Foundation. They've been at the table with us communicating and in full support, and they're at the table as we develop the plan, and then they have talked to us about their commitment to helping us execute the plan. So we're in great shape when you look at where we are compared to where other states, where other districts are nationally.
Okay, Dr. Joseph, we have another question or comment card. This one actually has a comment and a question. It says, great idea getting parent input on hiring new principals. How do you plan to get parent feedback on current principal effectiveness?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that one yet. That's a good one. So we should have, if we don't have surveys that are going out right now, we will. Because it is important, not only from parents, but I want to know how kids feel about their leaders within the building, because they're the ones who actually receive the services directly. And they should give input, as well as parents, as well as the business community. But I do plan on having surveys, if we don't already have them, and evaluating them.
Good evening. My name is Trillian Small. I am a mental health counselor as well as a John Maxwell trainer. And so I specialize in adverse childhood experiences as well as leadership development. In one of your interviews, you mentioned if we are going to fix an organization, we need to fix ourselves.
Yeah.
And I love that comment. And so just interested in learning more about how you plan on helping our staff and our admin with their mental and their emotional and their personal leadership development.
Yeah, we've got to think about the mental wellness of our staffs. I mean, teaching is a very, very stressful job. And I don't think we give enough service. I mean, I think that the Metro Nashville Public Schools, we have, health clinics and wellness clinics and things in the district, and I think we need to look at how we're expanding them, how our staffs are accessing them. I think we need to openly start talking to our staffs about how they're doing and their actual wellness. And one of the big pushes we're going to have this year is helping staff see their staffs as people. And we're working with an organization called the Arbinger Institute to do that effectively, because if you see someone as a person, you can recognize the signs of stress and the signs of distress. And in those moments, you talk to those folks and connect them to the resources that they need. I mean, we've got to take care of one another, because if we don't take care of one another, we can't take care of the children. So it is something that we are going to be focused on.
Hi, my name is Dion Stewart, alumni of Metro Public Schools. My question is funding. How can you fund underprivileged schools or Title I schools, as you call, when the money is allocated for private schools or charter schools, and then the kids act up, things happen, and then they have to go back to their zone school? Does the money come back to the school, or does the school lose that money for the year?
Yeah, so unless things are different in Tennessee, and I doubt they are, after September 30th and that count is done and the money is distributed, there is no refund when someone moves from one place to the other. Funding is an issue that we are going to have to address as a school district. I think we've got to step first, make sure that the funds that we have we're using appropriately. And I think we need to let the community know and show the community a good faith effort to, cut waste and prioritize resources where they are needed. And then I think once we start getting results, there's an opportunity. People want to invest when they see that you're being successful. Get results. When you get results, you can go and ask for more money. When you get more money, you can build capacity. As you build capacity, you get better results. So there's this cycle of continuous improvement we have to get into, but it starts with we've got to get some results. And that's what we're thinking about as we look at this 100-day plan. We're looking at where are the opportunities to get quick wins, to show the community that we can be very results-oriented. People are, excited now. And a year from now, I don't get results. They're gonna say, "Man, that man he like RG3." He came in and didn't do nothing. So we're gonna work to make sure that we don't have that trajectory.
How you doing? My name is Eric Warfield. I've been a bus driver for about 24 years. Once again, I'm going to kind of piggyback on her question, which is, as she had said earlier, teachers are considered the backbone of the school system. Well, support staff, lunchroom workers, and school bus drivers are the blood, sweat, and tears of MNPS.
I agree.
And my question is, and what that rolls into is their voices need to be heard, because years back their voices weren't heard, and that's how we lost our custodians and our groundskeepers to contracting. They were contracted out and these people lost their jobs. Bus drivers and lunchroom workers were in the hindsight and next on the list. And what I want to know is, when you're creating your leadership team, who on that team will be speaking and representing and talking to the actual support staff, not their supervision, not their management. Who on that team is going to come into the trenches and actually talk to the drivers, the support staff, the lunchroom workers, the secretaries, the librarians, the ones who are, like I said, the blood, sweat, and tears of MNPS? Because in the past, we haven't been heard.
Yeah, and I appreciate that question. I can't comment on the past, but as we look towards the future, you see the support staff are represented on my transition team. We also had an opportunity to go visit, and I spoke with all of the transportation unit this past week, and we'll continue that process. But as we think about our work, and I know I have a meeting set with the head of the bus drivers union to talk about just transportation and conversations, and that's already on the book. So yeah, we'll have those continuous conversations going along, because again, you can't do things without having the people closest to the work at the table, hearing the voice and understanding the perspective. It's a core belief that I have that I won't change.
I have a question from the comment card. Dr. Joseph, how do you plan to present a more positive image of our inner city schools such as Cohn?
Yeah, so I think this is where we've got to really get the community embracing and active in the school. And there's nothing, I think you can do a better job of promoting Cohn's image than I can, because this is the community that from which you come and you love, and you know what these specific issues are. What I could do is support you with technical support and resource to do that, but it's going to be a community affair. We have to get the people who have children within this school, and we have to get the children within this school to begin to tell their story and communicate the great things that are happening within this district in a much clearer, much more systemic way. And we can support with that effort. But it's a collaborative affair to really turn that around. But it's easy to do because there's so much excellence abound here. It's just a matter of getting the story out, because what happens is we have people who necessarily don't come into the school to know what's going on. They just have assumptions about what's going on for a multitude of reasons. But so we've got to be intentional about putting that word out on the street.
I got two quick questions. I'm with him on the bus driver. I'm not a bus driver, but I feel like I'm one. I mean, I hear parents ask for all these extracurricular activities, but there's no transportation, because I've transported a football team by myself, me and some other parents. You know, they want the kids, all these activities, but there's no bus drivers for them. Supervisors said, I can't take your kids because I'm in overtime. And I think that's the problem. You have 12 after-school programs running together. The football team can't play here because there's a soccer game going on. It's too many programs, and the school is this little. And then the other question I have is the uniform policy. I don't mind the uniforms, but you got my daughter here at Dan Mills, in East Nashville. They can wear any color polo shirt and jeans. But then the next school, all polo shirts, no jeans. But then here, my son is a freshman coming here. He has to wear the school colors. So I have polo shirts that are just gonna be wasted because I have to buy school colors there. It doesn't make sense. I had a Stratford parent, his son is coming here. He has to buy new shirts because he has to wear these school colors. I don't mind the uniforms, but you gotta get on one accord somewhere. You can't have this school, this color. I mean, everybody's all over the place with the uniforms.
So two things. I think on the first question, I think I can investigate the transportation scenario. I don't have enough information to comment on that. On the second question, I do think it's healthy to have communities decide on their uniforms and the value, because the only way a uniform works is when the community buys in. And because we need parents to help support their children and support schools, so we're not chasing kids around all day, keeping them out of class over clothes when we should be educating them. So I wouldn't want to make a universal decree that across the system this is how we do that. I think communities should have those conversations and make the determination that's best for their community. But I understand the dilemma that it may cause for a parent who might have kids in different communities.
It's great to see you again, Dr. Joseph. My name is Gerald Harris. I graduated from Cohn in 2013. I'm always excited to come back and see the school grow. And I have another fellow alumni who graduated here in 2013. We're both graduating in May. But my question is, when you're talking about success, you have to talk about leadership. And you mentioned leadership is critical, and you put together a fantastic leadership team. But how can you ensure that this school and many other schools have the proper leaders in place to ensure the pinnacle of their success?
Yeah, well, so we've charged Dr. Narcisse to give everybody a checkup from the neck up. So he's gonna, he's gonna be going around and working with principals. And as we see need, it's our job to provide supports. And if people shouldn't be in the positions, they won't be. But we've got to give people the supports that they need to be successful.
Okay, Dr. Joseph, we have another question on the question card. Considering the diversity of our district, what opportunities will be provided for administration and faculty in regards to cultural competency?
And again, this is work that Dr. Gonzalez will be charged with. We really, I don't think we have a real detailed plan on, so how do we build our staff's cultural competency? Well, it's extremely important when we have, over 100 different languages within our district, and we have lots of different religious backgrounds and cultures. We can't take the chance that people just know how to deal with that diversity, because they don't. Most of us live in very isolated worlds, and we are limited by our own perspective. And until we put things in place to broaden those perspectives, we won't grow. And we understand that. So over the course of the year, this is going to be a year of planning for us and thinking through what needs to happen. And as we go through the budget season, we've got a resource for more robust professional development opportunities, and we have to think about our policies on, establishing minimum expectations of what we expect of all employees in terms of training, understanding, and action. But it's going to be an ongoing conversation and a work in progress for years to come. It's not a quick solution.
Dr. Joseph, I have a question from the comment cards. Thinking of discipline, what are the supports that will be offered to ensure the safety of the student, faculty, and staff?
Yeah, safety is a primary concern for us. And I know in the last budget, the board and Chris approved more supports for restorative practices within the school district, and I think that's a good thing for us to do. But I think we also have to look at each school and look at do a diagnosis, if you will, of the culture. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm looking at the suspension data within the district and the referral data. But those data need to be reviewed to identify where are those places where we clearly see that there have been problems. And we've got to understand why those problems exist and be thoughtful about putting plans in place. But it takes support externally and internally to really make sure that there are strong cultures in schools. And when children aren't behaving, we have to understand why. A lot of times we go to the extreme. A kid just misbehaves, we suspend them. So then they go into the community and they start disrupting your community. Then they come back angrier at the school and get suspended again. And then there's this cycle of chaos that ensues in many schools. And we've got to look at those root causes. And I think this is an opportunity where we can work with some of our nonprofits and some of our mental health agencies and others to figure out, more holistic solutions to taking care of those children. Because when a child is continuously disrupting, they're crying out for something. And the question becomes, how do we provide those resources to help that child and that family?
Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon.
I'm glad to hear you talk about restorative practices. I've been involved with Gideon's Army, and they have already established some restorative practices here at Cohn and some other schools. But I'm disappointed that when the board decided to expand the program, that we were not invited to the table. And that's a community resource that is not being utilized, because we've already started that work here, doing the circles and some of the other work. So the legwork, or some of the legwork, has already been done. So I'm wondering how we can include some of the community resources that have already established these practices.
Yeah, that'd be something that I would need to investigate, but we can.
Hello, Dr. Joseph. My name is Deandra Jenkins Holder, and I actually have two comments I'd like for you to consider, not really questions. My first comment, I'm actually here on behalf of about 15 African American teachers and administrators who were either demoted or blacklisted or considered non-rehires because they did not agree with certain people and practices of the last administration. And I ask that you please consider people who are good for kids, who stand up for right, who have spent their lives in education only to be denied access to the very kids they wish to serve. And so I wish you would consider some forum to allow those of us, including myself, to at least apply and interview for those positions. So just please have that as a consideration. And the second comment I have, after 23 years as an educator in middle, high school, and higher ed, public and charter, I would really like for there to be avenues to educate the community about charter and public, and that it's not a public battle against one versus the other, because when all kids win, we all win. And I think we need to look at ways that we can help all schools be successful. And so again, those are just two things I'd like for you to consider, and welcome to Nashville.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Head. I'm an educator in the Cohn cluster. And my question is, do you have a vision or any plan for the future of enhanced option schools?
How do you define enhanced option? That's a new term for me.
We go for 45 minutes longer than the regular elementary schools.
So I think that's something that maybe falls under Mr. Carrasco, and we'll be rolling out our plan for priority work in the near future. But I don't have enough detail to expound upon it at this moment.
Good evening, Dr. Joseph. My name is Ariel Smith, and I'm going into the year as a fifth-year educator, and I've seen a lot of great and amazing educators leave the district, leave the career, and I was just wondering how you were planning on addressing our teacher retention rate that's within the district.
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's one of the questions I've asked our director of talent management. Just do we have data on why people leave, and what do we do? I do. If we look at, if it's like other places in the nation, culture matters, and if people don't feel supported, people don't feel valued, people don't have the resources that they need, they leave. It's not really a money thing, it's other stuff. But we have to delve into the whys much more thoughtfully. And it's the work that, again, we have a human resources talent management team on my 100-day plan, on my transition team, to really look at those issues and really come up with comprehensive plans. You know, today I had an opportunity to speak with 400 brand new teachers that are coming into the district, and it was one of the first times in a long time that we actually had a 4-day plan for them to appropriately onboard them into our school system. You know, that hadn't happened before, and I thank Katie Core and team and all the teachers that were involved in putting that together. It's those types of programs of support and proactive work and helping people understand who we are as a district and who we want to become as a district that matter. Gives people a sense of community and a sense of support systems as they meet people within the system and know that when they have a question or need help, they actually know who to call and who to go to. So we're beginning to work on those plans, but we know much more work needs to be done, and I'm hoping that our transition team will give me some key information to continue to strengthen that work, but it's important.
Okay, Dr. Joseph, we have another question from the question card. What is your vision of engaged and empowered students, and what roles can you imagine for them so that their voices matter?
Yeah, I'd love to know how we could have more student voices come up to the board, superintendent level. There are districts that have, board, student board members. I know we don't right now. We had them. Yeah, that's something for us I think we should revisit, because I think students do bring, a key voice to the perspective. And in other districts that I've been in, that voice has been invaluable. I think we need to create some type of, we have student governments at our schools. How those student governments connect and how they connect to us is something that I think we can look at in terms of an infrastructure and having a system of constant listening and communications. We have technology, and it's pretty easy to create some type of opportunities virtually for us to talk with kids, hear their ideas, and help implement ideas that come from the student level. But I'd really, to start, like to work with the student government associations and that infrastructure, and then work from there to come up with other ideas to get students' voices heard.
Dr. Joseph, I have a question from the comment card. What is the strategic process for all faculty, staff, administration to be held accountable?
Yeah, so accountability is important, and we've got to make sure we have a system that has both high accountability and high support. Because when you have high accountability and low support, people lie, cheat, and steal, and we don't want that to happen. So one of the things that we have to do is be explicitly clear about what our expectations are. So just this week, all principals received a memo or notice from me or from Dr. Narcisse and Dr. Felder communicating a monthly monitoring calendar. So we're letting schools know, here's the data that matters to us this month. Here are the questions when your principal supervisors come in to meet with principals and meet with leadership teams. Here are the questions they're going to ask you. There are no secrets to that. And what the questions get at is the heart of teaching and learning. But by putting them out there up front, it allows people to focus. It creates a sense of accountability, but a support system. So if things aren't going so well, we can bring teams together to figure out how do we provide more direct supports. And if data isn't moving, we can start asking questions about why and providing supports to change that trajectory. But the key is being clear, transparent, and having structures for the conversations and structures for the follow-up, and that will be put in place by the start of school.
Hi, I'm Janet DuBose, and I'm a retired educator, so I'm probably one of the smartest people in the room. In the real world, as I see it, everybody does not go to college. What plan do you have for these kids that are not going in that direction?
Yeah, well, we have a vision to make sure everybody has the opportunity to go. If they choose not to go, then we just want to make sure they're prepared for the job force. We have the academies at the high school, and right now I think we have 200 some odd certifications that have gone out, but we have many more children participating in those programs. And so one of the things we need to look at that I think is a quick win is how do we make sure that we dramatically increase the amount of certifications that students are getting to be able to go into an industry and qualify for getting a good job. That's a quick one that we can immediately jump on and know our kids are prepared. But I'm not into the low-level kind of vocational work and going back to the days that tracked Black, poor, English second language, special education students in these tracks where they got a degree that meant nothing and had very low-level expectations set for them. I mean, we're not going to go there, but I am open to looking at getting them ready for the industry. It's something we've got to be careful about. I don't want low expectations for any kid, and I won't be the one to tell a kid that they don't have what it takes to go to college, because I'd argue all kids have what it takes if they're willing to put forth the effort and if we give them the support.
Dr. Joseph, here's a question from the question card. This is the 5-minute warning. How will overcrowded classrooms be improved?
Well, we'll have to look at those numbers, and this is where I'll work with Mr. Henson as we look at the budget and how we've handled that in the past. I'm not, what's happened in other places where I've worked is that we've kept a pool of 100 positions per se, because we know, when school starts, you have some schools that are over-enrolled that weren't expecting, and some were under-enrolled, and we work to appropriate staff where needed and pull staff where it wasn't needed. I don't know what those processes are in this district yet, but they're conversations that we are having to explore. But we'll work to balance within the budget that we have.
Dr. Joseph, my name is Jan Sebastian, and I heard you say that you're going to send cards out to principals so they'll know what you expect and talk to some of the leadership teams in the schools. However, some of those leadership teams are made up of cliques of the principals. Will you talk to the teachers, because they are the ones that are affected the most by these decisions that these admins are making?
Yeah, so I need to speak with the president of your union to figure out the best structures we can put in place to have the teacher voice come directly up where I and my team can hear it. I think it's a conversation worthy of having with the Board of Education as we think about the makeup of leadership teams and how we ensure that there is a voice from a multitude of people on those teams. I don't think we should leave that to chance, because then you do have a higher likelihood of nepotism and cronyism and other things occurring. But if we establish a policy or administrative procedure that says, parents must be at the table, the union, SEIU, and the teachers union must be at the table, and the parent community needs to sign off on budgets. Those are things that can help reinforce more conversation, collaboration, and accountability. So there's just not a school dictatorship that could occur without any rules. So we'll look at that stuff. And I don't know what's on the books right now, but those are the suite of conversations that we should be having as we start thinking about our policies that are going to impact achievement in the long term.
My name's Alita Porter, and I'm a parent a parent of a student here at Cohn. My question to you is, what is your opinion about the core curriculum that we have in the schools now? And do you feel it's a benefit or a detriment to students to not have more homework or be graded more on other schoolwork besides just tests? And also, how do you feel about, I think for my daughter, and maybe a lot of other students, they learn differently, so they may need more one-on-one time with a teacher. So I'd like to know what you suggest that I should do as a parent to make sure that she gets what she needs to learn in the way that she's able to, and not always just in a classroom with all other students. Sometimes it can be distracting, and she might need more one-on-one time with the teachers. So I'd like to know what you think.
Yeah, so it's a multi-layered question, so please forgive me if I miss a part, and you can let me know if I have. No problem, no problem. But so I think the board and I have to look at our grading and reporting policy in general and see what it says, and does it, we need to move towards a more standards-based type of orientation if we don't have that, meaning, the things that matter for a grade are, what helps us know what a kid knows and can do, period, not a lot of other stuff in there. And I think we should give more direction on ensuring that there are a multitude of different ways to assess whether a child learns or not. You asked about a lot of other stuff. Yeah. So in general, general philosophy, we just need to, we definitely have to look at those policies. We want to give kids multiple opportunities to show what they know. And we have to make sure that our assessments we have a strong assessment system, but we're not over-assessing kids. But what we're assessing matters and lets us know if kids know something or not.
All right, Dr. Joseph, this will be our last question of the evening.
Hi, I'm J.D. Fay, and I'm a math teacher here at Cohn. And to answer your question, have your student talk to the teachers. We are more than willing to work one-on-one with students. I know this is probably not an issue unique to Cohn. Being in the high school and having students come to us in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade with a 3rd grade reading level or below, don't have basic math skills, and yet we're trying to get them to these high standards. I know we can't just go back and just forget about it, but how can we remediate, and how can we get them to the level of their peers so that they can succeed?
Yeah, so we've got to make sure that you have the right intervention supports in place in terms of your RTI model within the building. So if you have children that are coming in, way below level, that you're giving them materials at their level to help move them forward in the short answer. So we have to look at that. But then there's the long game of what's happening pre-K through 8th grade before they got here, and how do we go about providing supports in that articulation pattern. I mean, it's one of the reasons I'm a believer in neighborhood schools and natural feeder patterns, because then you can have a high school principal and the feeder principals working collaboratively together, having meaningful conversations about what's happening, what are challenges, and how do we put supports in place. But we'll put a system together where we're monitoring closely, and if students aren't doing well, there has to be a response. A crisis response. I mean, we shouldn't have, kids getting to high school on 3rd, 4th, 5th grade levels if we were doing things and providing supports and adjusting much earlier than that. So, I mean, those are systems that we'll be talking about and putting in place long term.
Guess it's back. So first of all, let me say thank you. I think you guys have just topped a little bit more than White's Creek in attendance tonight, so thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. So my first question is, can we keep him? Okay.
I hope so. I got a 4-year contract.
Well, you know, if anybody made it hard to dismiss you, it'd be Miss Shondia here with the song, the serenade, which will never, ever get him to come off of Cloud 9 about that. But I do have to say that you look just like you look in the video. You know, most stars you can't say that about. I could pick you up.
And she's going to perform for all of our principals on the 29th.
All righty then. Very good. Very good. But if you heard nothing else tonight, I hope you have recognized that there is a sea change that is taking place in our district, from expectations of our most senior leadership all the way down to our classroom. And that is probably the most significant thing that we could do to begin to see the kind of changes we want to see when it comes to student performance. If we don't change our culture, if we don't change our expectations, we cannot expect the outcomes to be any different. And you know, one of the other conversations we've had in the texting and the meetings and the daily interactions is this whole concept of team. And so when people hear Dr. Joseph say my team, you immediately think the people sitting on this front row. You need to understand that everybody in this room is a part of the team. The teachers are significant to the team. The service workers are essential and critical to the team. The principals are a part of the team. And I'll tell you, I've had a number of teachers come to me and principals come to me since his hiring to say, I need to talk to Dr. Joseph because I'm ready to move up. I've done great things. Well, I need you to keep doing great things. I need you to keep wanting to do great things. And we, as a board, have been working tirelessly and having conversations, and it goes back to that hiring, recruiting, and retaining. We're willing to investigate and continue to do the things that we need to do to make you realize that being in the classroom and being in our buildings is the most important job that we have within this district. And so I hope you believe that, and I hope that you see that happening here. But I want you to know that this is just the beginning. It's the initial community engagement for this community. It will continue. Many of you should have, especially teachers and principals, received a voice message from Dr. Joseph. That's not the only one you'll hear. We've got monthly newsletters, as I said weekly last time, and he looked at me cross-eyed. Monthly newsletters that will be going out, so there will be that consistent communication and engagement. But the last thing I want to say is that what I hear a lot of stems from a lack of trust. And so that's one of the things that's tantamount in what we're working on. When you hear us say that Dr. Felder and Dr. Narcisse will be sending out ahead of time, we're no longer in gotcha mode. We're in how can we help you mode. It is how can we make a difference. And what is it that we learned in our training? We want to spend 90% of our time helping things go right and not fixing things that have gone wrong. We want to be proactive in our engagement with our students, with our community, with our teachers and our principals. And this is the beginning of that. And I think that we've hired a leader, and he's established a team at central office that will help that begin to trickle down. And I want to get to the day where it's not necessary for each individual teacher to have Dr. Joseph's ear, because we believe that we've put the right building level leaders that believe in their staff and see their staff as people. They believe in their students and see the potential in their students, and so that we can trust that everybody is rowing in the same direction with the same level of expectation and the same hopes and aspirations for one another and for our students. So again, I thank you for being here. The comment cards that were not responded to will be responded to. Everyone up here has been taking notes feverishly. Even Harold Love, I don't know what he's taking notes about, but he's been taking notes on everything that's been talked about up here. But again, thank you. Have a great evening and be safe going home.